Good morning, my name is Ananthakrishnan. Welcome to my channel ICU Skills and Training. I have been working as an ICU nurse since 11 years. I thought I can share my knowledge to all upcoming nurses and the presently working nurses to build up their knowledge. And today my topic, which is very important for all the nurses to diagnose a patient condition, especially in ICU, emergency room and also in the ward. So today my topic is arterial blood gas analysis. As everybody know that we are extracting the blood from the artery and to diagnose, to rule out what the patient condition it is. So before that we need to keep in mind some normal values that is very important. So I will go through that. The main common the factors which needed for this arterial blood gas analysis. The first one is pH. Next one is PCO2, next PO2, next one is bicarb, and another one is SO2. So the pH is the element which has to detect whether the blood is acidic or alkaline or base. So the normal value of pH is 7.35 to 7.45, and another one is PCO2, that is a driving pressure of carbon dioxide in our blood. The normal value is 35 to 45 mm of Hg or 4 to 6 kilopascal. Another one is PO2, that is 80 to 100 mm of Hg or 10 to 12 kilopascal. And another one is bicarb, that is 22 to 26 milli equivalent, and saturation is everybody know that it is 90 to 100%. So the pH already I explained, it is a element which is used to detect the acidity or the alkalinity of the blood. PCO2 is the driving pressure of carbon dioxide in our blood. PO2 is the driving pressure or the partial pressure of oxygen in our blood, and the bicarb, which is an element which is secreted from our stomach, that is important for the digestion. Moreover, it is act as a buffer to neutralize the acidity in our blood. And saturation, it's a amount of oxygen content in our blood, that is 90 to 100. In this 5 component, we need to pay more attention to the PCO2 and the bicarb, because the PCO2 is acidic. Why? Because it is directly proportional to the hydrogen ion in our blood. So PCO2 is acidic, and it is the regulatory mechanism which commonly take place in lungs. Acidic, I will write here acidic. And the bicarb, the regulatory mechanism which is commonly take place in the kidney, and it already I said that it is act as a buffer, so it is a base and it is has alkaline effect. So this thing also have to think in and to keep in your mind. So the PCO2 and the bicarb. So let's go to the steps. There are 3 steps. The first one is to rule out whether it is acidosis or alkalosis. Second one is to check whether it is respiratory or metabolic. The third one is whether it is compensated. In compensated, two things: fully compensated, second one is partially compensated. Go to the first step. I need to check the BJ, it is acidosis or alkalosis. If the pH is less than 7.35, it is acidosis, and the BJ, if it is above 7.45, it is alkalosis. So the first step finished, and next step, need to check the BJ, it is respiratory or metabolic. So these are the some examples of the arterial blood gases. So we'll go through one by one. First one, pH 7.26, PCO2 is 50 and bicarb is 20. So the first method is need to find out it is acidosis or alkalosis. So if the pH is 7.35, below 7.35, this is 7.26, so it is acidosis. Next, our method is that to check both the parameters PCO2 and bicarb. In that, one of the parameter is normal, means we can go directly to the interpretation without going to the third step. So here the PCO2 is 50, it is high, more than 45, and the bicarb is 25, so it is normal. The normal value is 22 to 26, so it is normal. In this situation, we can go directly to the ABG interpretation, that is respiratory acidosis. Why? Because the PCO2, the regulatory mechanism which has been taking place in lungs, and this is also an acid, like it's a good relation with the hydrogen ion. So because of this one, the blood acid has been raised up and the acidosis had happened. So we can interpret this as respiratory acidosis. The pH is low, acidosis, and the PCO2 went up, it is respiratory acidosis. We'll go to the next one. pH is 7.58, we can interpret as alkalosis. Next, need to check both the parameters. PCO2 is 27, it is less, and the bicarb is 23, it is normal. So we can go directly to the final diagnosis, it is respiratory alkalosis. Third example is pH 7.25, PCO2 is 36 and bicarb 20. So below 7.35 pH means it is acidosis. And check the PCO2, it is normal, and the bicarb is low. In this situation, so it is metabolic. Bicarb, the regulatory mechanism has been taking place in the kidney, so it is metabolic. For the final diagnosis is metabolic acidosis. The fourth one, the pH is 7.57, PCO2 is 41 and the bicarb is 36. In that, pH is more than 7.45, it is alkalosis. PCO2 is normal and the bicarb is more hiked up, because in this situation we can diagnose it as metabolic alkalosis. One more tip I will tell: during respiratory cases, both the parameter will be in the opposite direction. The pH and PCO2 will be in the opposite direction. Here pH is low, PCO2 is pH is low and PCO2 is high. Here the pH is high, the PCO2 is low. Here in metabolic states, both the parameters will be in the same direction. pH is low and the bicarb is also low. And here also metabolic alkalosis, the pH is high and the bicarb is also high. So this is a step if one of the parameter is normal. Let's go to the third step, that is compensated. The BJ, whether it is compensated, that is fully or partially compensated. So in that, there is some example I written here. The pH is 7.31, PCO2 is 51 and bicarb 41. What this means, it's PCO2 went up and the bicarb also went up. So how we will interpret this one? So we will have a confusion in that. So I will explain that without going directly to this example. Our body has some regulatory mechanisms. For example, if a patient coming with a respiratory problem, for example, the patient has acidosis or alkalosis. In this situation, our body itself will produce the bicarb to compensate this respiratory acidosis and alkalosis. During this time, during respiratory acidosis, our body will secrete more bicarb to compensate the pH to the normal value, that is called as hemostasis. In this situation, the bicarb will secrete more. In the respiratory alkalosis, the body itself will regulate to decrease the bicarb secretion. That is a body mechanism. In the same step, if any patient coming with metabolic state, for example, if the patient coming with severe vomiting, diarrhea and decay, like that, all the cases, we can divide it as metabolic acidosis or alkalosis. In this situation, our body will secrete carbon dioxide, CO2, to regulate the pH to the normal value. So how means, during respiratory acidosis, the carbon dioxide, CO2 will come down, and during metabolic alkalosis, the CO2 will go up. The important thing we can remember that the CO2 is an acid. During acidosis state, always the acid will go down. The body will try to regulate or decrease the acid. So the CO2 will come down. And during alkalosis state, the alkaline in our body is been increased. So our body itself will reduce to compensate the alkaline by increasing the carbon dioxide in our body. This is a normal body mechanism. This is happening commonly. Like in the respiratory state, during acidosis and alkalosis, bicarb will go up and the bicarb will come down. During metabolic acidosis, the carbon dioxide will went down, and during metabolic alkalosis, the carbon dioxide will produce more in our body. This is a compensatory mechanism in our body. So in this scenario we can interpret this one. How we will interpret this 2BGA? We will go through the first step. The pH is 7.31. If it is below 7.35, it is acidosis, and here the PCO2 is 51, the normal value is 35 to 45, so it went up. And here the bicarb is 49, the normal value is 22 to 26, this one also high. Think that the acidosis is happened because of this acid in our body, that is PCO2, and the PCO2 is also high. We can interpret this as respiratory acidosis plus here bicarb also high, compensated. But we need to check whether it is fully or partially compensated. How? Check the pH. If the pH is normal, it is fully compensated, or if the pH is abnormal, it is partially compensated. Or does the bicarb enough to reach the pH to the normal? No, the pH didn't went to the normal value, so it is partially compensated. Okay, we'll go to the next example. The pH is 7.50, it is more than 4.5, it is alkalosis. The PCO2 is 50, it is more, and the bicarb is 40, normal is 22 to 26, it is more. Here how we can understand, we can interpret is that we already diagnose it is alkalosis, whether it is respiratory or metabolic. We need to check the bicarb is an alkaline. Because of this bicarb, the body pH went to alkalosis. It is metabolic alkalosis. Plus the pH also increased, it is compensated. Was this PCO2 sufficient to reach the pH to the normal? No, the pH didn't come to the normal value. The still pH is 7.5, so it is partially compensated. Last one, it is fully compensated. So how we can understand whether an arterial blood gas and arterial blood gas is fully compensated? Suppose these are the examples. First one, the pH is 7.35, PCO2 is 49, and bicarb is 30. So let's go to this one. We will think that this 7.35 is normal, but need to check whether the PCO2 and the bicarb, this both the parameters are abnormal. It is more than 45 and it is more than 20. So how we can interpret this one? If you have a patient in front of you, if you know the diagnosis of that patient, like the patient came with respiratory problems like ARDS, pneumonia, some flus and pneumothorax, and all the respiratory problem means, you can go directly to rightly this one as respiratory acidosis. Or if a patient condition has some vomiting, diarrhea and some type of other illness like diabetic ketoacidosis, in that cases also we can go directly that this patient has alkalosis, that is metabolic alkalosis. But You don't know the patient directly came to the ICU, you are doing the first sample, so you don't know the patient condition. Means how you can interpret this BGA, like if the pH is normal. For that, you have to divide this pH into 2. pH divided to 2, like from 7.35 to 7.4 and from 7.4 to 7.45. From 7.35 to 7.4 is acidosis, and from 7.4 to 7.45 is alkalosis. This is a step. Think, check, pH is 7.35, so it is acidosis. Next, the PCO2 is 49, it is more. The bicarb is 30, this one also high. Check, the acidosis happened because of the acid content in our body. The acid here, it is the PCO2. We can diagnose this as respiratory acidosis plus compensation. Compensated. What compensated? It is fully or partially. Check the pH. Was the bicarb is enough to reach the pH to the normal value? That is a question mark. Every BGA, every arterial blood gas analysis, you have to raise this question, that was the parameter, was in this BGA, I will check, was this bicarb is enough to reach the pH to the normal value? Yes, here the pH, usual pH normal value is 7.35 to 7.45, so it is normal. We can interpret it as fully compensated. Another tip, in this same ABG, if the pH was abnormal, suppose the pH was 7.28, means it is partially compensated. But in this case, the pH is normal from 7.35 to 7.45. We can diagnose it as respiratory acidosis with fully compensated. Next example, pH is 7.42. From 7.4 to 7.45, it is alkalosis. And the PCO2 is normal is 35 to 45, it is low. And the bicarb, it is 22 to 26, it is also low. The alkalosis happened how? Because of the decreased acid content in our blood. So the PCO2 is low. Can interpret as respiratory alkalosis plus the bicarb also low, compensated. Was the bicarb is enough to reach the pH to the normal? Yes, 7.42 is a normal. Can write it as fully compensated. Go to the next one. pH is 7.36. From 7.35 to 7.44, it is acidosis. The PCO2 is 30, normal value is 22 to 26, it is high. The bicarb is 20, the normal value is 22 to 26, low. So in these cases, need to check the pH. Already we found out it is acidosis. Whether it is respiratory or acidosis, respiratory acidosis or metabolic acidosis, how means the PCO2 is also low and the bicarb is also low. So how we can interpret because of the decreased alkaline content in our blood, the acidosis happened. So it is metabolic, the bicarb is low and the pH is also low from 7.35 to 7.4. It is metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis plus the PCO2 is the PCO2 is low here. PCO2 is low. The PCO2 is low, so it is compensated. Compensated. Whether it is fully was the PCO2 is enough to reach the pH to the normal? Yes, it is fully compensated. Metabolic acidosis with fully compensated. The last example, the pH is 7.44. From 7.4 to 7.45 it is alkalosis. And the PCO2 is 48, 35 to 45 is a normal, it is high. The bicarb is 30, 22 to 26 is a normal, it is also high. So alkalosis how happened? Because of the alkaline, the bicarb is an alkaline. So because of increasing alkaline in our blood, it is diagnosed it as metabolic alkalosis. Metabolic alkalosis plus compensated. Was the PCO2 is sufficient to reach the pH into the normal value? Yes, 7.44 is a normal, so it is fully compensated. It is fully compensated. Whether it is acidosis or alkalosis, check whether it is respiratory or metabolic if one of the parameter is normal, but both the parameters are abnormal. Go through the third step, whether it is compensated, that is fully compensated or partially compensated. How the partially compensated? It is a mechanism that if both the parameters are abnormal and the pH also abnormal, in that cases if we can go directly for the partially compensated ABG. If fully compensated, how we can interpret means the pH is normal and both the PCO2 and bicarbs are abnormal, means it is fully compensated. Fully compensated means pH is normal and partially compensated means pH is abnormal. I'm very thankful to all who are watch this video, and if you have any comments you can post in my comment box, and if you like this video please do subscribe my channel and encourage me to do more videos. Thank you very much.